raucous.
I don't call myself a feminist. I call myself a killer bitch.
Irreverent.
You're asking me the most boring fucking questions. I can't even believe it.
And irrepressible.
Thank you, my man.
In the next 2 hours, we'll take a probing look at Roseanne, one tough woman who turned one tough industry upside down.
All of a sudden, you've got this very robust, ballsy, large woman running around on television.
Virtually overnight, Roseanne transformed herself from trailer park housewife to trash-talking queen of controversy.
Hey, fuck off. I'm having a good time.
She very quickly became the outrageous darling of the tabloids.
America is fascinated by the continuing ability of Roseanne Arnold to surprise the shit out of people.
Roseanne's fiery on-set temper became legendary.
No, it's fucking written.
I'd hate to meet her in the street in a fist fight. She's a tough broad.
And her untamed marriage to actor Tom Arnold launched 1,000 tabloid headlines.
We're really sick and horribly mentally deranged.
Tom Arnold said, "We are America's worst nightmare. We're white trash with money."
The fiery comedian waged war with even her most ardent fans. And then dropped the biggest bombshell of all in a sordid tale of true confession.
Roseanne needs to be a perpetual victim. I'm very bored with the drama du jour.
This is a story of a brash and brazen diva who lets it all hang out. This is the story of Roseanne, the True Hollywood story.
I think that makes me the undisputed queen of all trailer trash. And I'm very proud of that. Thank you.
The dream of being one of from life's ambition was to be the star. From the public scandal.
Roseanne Barr came kicking and screaming into the world on November 3rd, 1952 in Salt Lake City, Utah. Roseanne's parents, Jerry and Helen, sold blankets and crucifixes door to door to support the family, which included 2 sisters, Geraldine and Stephanie, and a brother, Ben. Growing up, Roseanne was acutely aware that the Barr family stood out in their working-class neighborhood. Roseanne's first husband, Bill Pentland.
Her family was Jewish, one of the really few families in Salt Lake City, which is heavily Mormon. And I think that as a child, what she had told me later gave her a real sense of perspective of kind of being an outsider, because their basic religion was so different from the predominant one in Salt Lake.
It was unbelievably terrible. We were also Jewish there, which was unbelievably terrible. And we were poor, and I was fat, so I guess it was like a non-ending thing.
In 1957, 4-year-old Roseanne suffered an injury that tested her family's faith.
She fell and hit her head against, I think, a coffee table, and it caused a temporary paralysis on the right side of her face.
Helen Barr called their rabbi, who said a prayer, but nothing happened.
And her mother, who called some Mormon bishops over, and they prayed over Roseanne, and the paralysis went away within 48 hours. This was a miracle to her mother.
The God-fearing woman decided that on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sunday mornings the family would be Jewish, and on Sunday afternoons, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, they'd be Mormon. The religious dichotomy troubled and confused Roseanne throughout her elementary school years. Roseanne would often escape to her grandmother Bubby Mary's house.
My grandmother really was the person who influenced me, because she was like this really incredible, strong woman. Like, she's 72 and she's beating up cops and stuff.
Ted Schwartz, co-author of My Sister Roseanne.
She was just one tough, eccentric woman who had survived hell, who's lost a lot of family in the Holocaust, and was determined to make it in a city that she perceived as, I'm guessing, part hostile but part naive.
Roseanne took after her grandmother, stubborn and self-reliant. It was Roseanne's father, however, who influenced her love of laughter. Roseanne's younger sister, Geraldine.
Comedy was a major part of all of our lives. My dad's really funny. Roseanne and my father are twins. They're very much alike.
As a child, every Sunday night they would gather around and watch Ed Sullivan, primarily just to see the stand-up comic. Her dad was very much into stand-up and stand-up comedians. Of course, these were more of those Borscht Belt, Catskills kind of guys that were on Ed Sullivan at that time, but she grew up knowing all of them, you know, seeing them and having a very keen sense of it.
There was one particular performer who struck a chord with Roseanne.
I always thought Johnny Carson was just awesome when I was a little kid. And my father would reward me if I was good by letting me watch the monologues till 10:35. And so I always tried to be real good so I could watch Johnny. He just made you feel like you were there and that everything was understandable and that you were part of it.
Roseanne desperately wanted to be part of that comic world, with sister Geraldine as her sidekick.
From a very early age, somehow they found out about the men who went out to early Hollywood, all of whom were Jewish. And it became their goal as young girls to one day go out to Hollywood as sisters instead of brothers. Instead of the Warner Brothers, it would be the Barr sisters.
At age 16, Roseanne made a startling discovery. While flipping through a medical journal, Roseanne learned that the facial paralysis she suffered as a child was actually Bell's palsy, a temporary nerve disorder. The Mormon miracle wasn't a miracle after all.
She kind of had a sense that everything was just kind of BS or crap at that point. The church, everything that she had invested in, you know, with her belief systems and all that. And she just did kind of go nuts there, you know, a lot of acting out. She did have a real tough spell.
Roseanne became a teenager out of control. She drank, smoked pot, and had sex. Her parents did little, if anything, to stop her.
The family was very lax in discipline. The kids just essentially went wild. So you're looking at a kid who is rebellious because she was raised to be rebellious. No one said no early on.
In 1969, when she was 17, Roseanne's reckless behavior almost cost her life.
She was walking in traffic and was hit by a car, and the hood ornament pierced or punctured the back of her head. And she says since that time, she had felt possibly a certain kind of insanity or being out of control or something. From that point, she went to, she always called it the Nut House, but it was a facility for troubled kids.
Roseanne's parents admitted her to Utah State Hospital, a mental institution in nearby Provo, where she stayed for 8 months.
She felt more like a political prisoner. I think she felt that she was put in there against her will, and it was actually an unnecessary place for her to be.
Roseanne turned all of her anger towards her religion.
I actually thought God was bad. I thought God stood aside when terrible things happened and didn't stop them. I thought that God punished.
After Roseanne was released from the hospital, she decided to drop out of high school. 3 months later, the 17-year-old discovered that her promiscuity had resulted in pregnancy. Upset and embarrassed by the news, Helen and Jerry Barr offered their daughter little support.
When she became pregnant with the conservative atmosphere in Salt Lake City, she was sent to an unwed mother's home in Denver, Colorado.
On May 16, 1971, Roseanne gave birth to a baby girl. With regret, she gave the infant up for adoption. 5 days later, Roseanne returned to Salt Lake City to collect her belongings. She took $300 that she had in savings, got on a bus, and never looked back. Coming up, Roseanne battles the forces of evil.
We were being possessed by demons. We would look in the mirrors every half hour to see if our eyes were turning yellow.
And later, Roseanne throws her weight around Hollywood.
No, it's fucking written. I gave it to you in the fucking trailer.
By 1971, Roseanne Barr was carrying a lot of baggage. Mental patient, high school dropout, unwed mother, and she was only 18. Hoping to escape the ghosts of her past, Roseanne fled the confines of conservative Salt Lake City. In the fall of 1971, Roseanne's travels landed her in Georgetown, Colorado, an old silver mining community and haven for the 60s free love movement. There she met a soft-spoken hippie, Bill Pentland.
Well, she rode out on a Greyhound bus, and being on the bus for 12 hours, she needed to use the bathroom pretty bad. And I was a night clerk at the motel in town, so they brought her over to use the bathroom. And she had a wonderful energy, a spirit, a very strange sense of humor, and I was kind of immediately captivated by that.
The feeling was mutual. Homeless, Roseanne shacked up with her new beau at the motel. But fearing the owner would disapprove of the arrangement, Roseanne lived like a fugitive.
She had to climb out the window every morning and come back through the lobby door so she could hang out in the daytime. She had to sleep in the closet in the motel.
By the fall of 1972, Roseanne and Bill were tired of playing hide and seek, so they traded in their temporary digs for a more permanent home.
We ultimately moved into a log cabin a few miles down the road. Your literal log cabin with a two-holer outhouse in the back, water pump. We did have electricity. That was quite a thing.
Money was tight, and Roseanne pitched in to make ends meet.
She would do various odd jobs around town as a motel maid or as a cook's assistant. So we just kind of worked for minimum wage and would repair our cabin down the road and pretty much just whatever was hippie at that time.
Including smoking lots of pot and hitchhiking throughout the area. When they weren't exploring, Bill and Roseanne liked to catch a good movie, but they got more than they bargained for with The Exorcist.
For the next 3 or 4 weeks, we were pretty convinced we were being possessed by demons. We would look in the mirrors every half hour to see if our eyes were turning yellow and we were hiding the knives. And these two Mormon guys said it was kind of because we were living in sin. So it was their recommendation that we tie the knot and get right with God.
On February 4th, 1974, 21-year-old Roseanne Barr and 23-year-old Bill Pentland were married by the Justice of the Peace in Golden, Colorado. Author Ted Schwartz.
The relationship with Bill Pentland was a very loving one early on. She adored him, he adored her.
The newlyweds moved from the log cabin to a low-rent trailer park.
I was a new wife and so excited about cleaning my own house, starting a family, cooking for them, being a total Susie homemaker, and then, of course, in my spare time, making crafts to hang on the walls and such.
It was typical trailer park. There's no money. You're living from paycheck to paycheck. You're eating whatever you can afford, which can be anything. Very often it's the old bakery or whatever. There are good times and bad times.
And some very strange times. In May 1974, a religious cult came to town, which sent Roseanne and Bill packing.
There was this character down in Denver called the Guhu Maharaji, and he was getting people to sign over their homes and their cars and the whole thing to shave their heads and follow him. Roseanne pretty much just gave me an ultimatum that Georgetown was done, let's get out of here. And we moved to Colorado Springs, and the trailer caught fire the following night. They did burn the trailer out, but all of our worldly possessions at that point. At the same time, Roseanne became pregnant with our first daughter.
The transients swept up the ashes and moved to Manitou Springs, Colorado. On March 18, 1975, 22-year-old Roseanne gave birth to Jessica. Bill immediately went looking for work.
I got hired by the Postal Service, but it necessitated moving to Denver.
Denver was a big city, one with seemingly a lot of opportunity, one that was growing by leaps and bounds.
Roseanne and Bill moved into a tiny two-bedroom house on J Street.
When we got to Denver, she quickly became pregnant with our second child, Jennifer. This time we were a little more prepared. I had the insurance. I knew we could pay for the bill for the hospital.
2 years later, the family grew once more with the addition of son Jake, born on June 30th, 1978.
We wanted to be like the Waltons, so after we were married, we decided to go for having 5 kids. What we ultimately ended up was having 3 of them in about just under a 4-year spell.
Motherhood and the strain of running a household was overwhelming. Roseanne became sullen and withdrawn.
I think that would contribute, her being locked up in the house, a lot of it, possibly having that many kids in that short of a time. And these were extremely difficult times for Roseanne.
She just began to isolate herself.
Roseanne developed agoraphobia, the fear of public places. She began to slide deeper and deeper into depression, so she channeled her energy into dieting.
She limited herself to just 1 meal a day and basically just wanted to be thin, but was not really happy in that.
Roseanne's life was a mess, and so were things back home in Salt Lake City, where her parents tried to cope with shocking news.
Out of 4 kids, 2 of them were coming out of the closet within a relatively short period of time.
I watched two people, my brother and my sister, grow up gay in Salt Lake City, Utah, and gay and lesbian, because my sister doesn't want to be called gay. She wants to be called a lesbian. She's very radical.
The Barr family was dealt another blow in late 1981, when Roseanne's grandmother, Bubby Mary, passed away.
There was a lot of shock when the grandmother died. I mean, it couldn't be unexpected, but she was a beloved woman, and that just upset everyone in their own way.
Roseanne and Bill struggled along virtually broke. To help pay the mounting bills, Roseanne went back to work. Ironically, the menial job changed her life.
She worked as a cocktail waitress at a Bennigan's, and that's when she found out that she could be funny. She was cracking jokes with the customers, and that's kind of what stepped her up into wanting to give comedy a shot.
Meanwhile, Roseanne's sister Geraldine moved in with the Pentlands to help with the chores.
At that time, she was a very radical feminist, and this being in my house and espousing these things, I told her, as long as you're staying here, I don't want to have to listen to this BS.
Geraldine, however, was very persuasive.
I really believed that just because a woman was going to be in power, that there would be no war, that she would be a great boss, and that we wouldn't have, we wouldn't abuse power.
To Bill's dismay, Geraldine soon made a convert of Roseanne.
The first thing was a refusal to shave her armpits or legs, so I wasn't quite that European at that point, and I had some issues with it.
She got involved with the women's group and began doing public speaking, began getting interested in the feminist movement.
She kind of made a 180-degree turnaround politically. She's reading books that are frightening. I mean, I would look at them and go, you're doing the same thing to men that Hitler did to the Jews. I was that terrified.
I've always felt that working class women are the women who've been left out and the women who the movement really is about.
Following her political awakening, Roseanne decided to take action. The wisecracking waitress boldly stepped on stage.
We went down one night, and here were probably 8 or 9 local people in Denver that had also wanted to do stand-up, and they came up and did their little 5 minutes, and it just opened up a whole new world to her. I mean, from that point on, she was driven, she was focused. That was what she was going to do.
I started to do comedy that I felt was kind of an answer to all the men comics I'd heard my whole life, and that specific joke, and I wanted to tell a new joke.
But Roseanne's idea of a good joke was anything but funny.
Try to imagine her at 105 pounds, but not shaving her armpits and putting all the men down, and she would have things thrown at the stage. I mean, she was blacklisted from a couple of the clubs in Denver because what she was doing was alienating the audiences. They didn't want her there.
Roseanne was relegated to biker bars and lesbian clubs, where she learned to work a crowd, thanks in part to her sister.
Geraldine would tape record the act and critique it. She would analyze what was going on. She would watch it. She'd work on the timing. She was really as close to a totally involved personal drama coach as you could get.
Roseanne's career was based on the belief that sisterhood is powerful. For Roseanne and I, it was sharing, almost like sharing a mind, and not needing words to communicate meaning.
Geraldine advised Roseanne to soften her harsh delivery, and audiences took notice. Fellow Denver comedian Vince Curran.
When it wasn't all 100% shock comedy, when she moved away from that, I think that's when she started getting a certain amount of acclaim.
At that point, there was no real looking back.
Coming up, the housewife becomes a hit.
I hate that word, housewife. I prefer to be called domestic goddess.
And later, Roseanne breaks the ties that bind.
For me, it feels like my sister's dead. I lost a sister.
In 1980, a new stand-up comic who was brash, angry, and over the top burst onto the Denver scene. Her name was Roseanne Barr. At first, audiences hated her, but the 28-year-old housewife wasn't about to quit, not by a long shot. After toning down her radical feminist act, Roseanne was welcomed back into mainstream Denver clubs in 1981. but her humor was still hit or miss. Fellow Denver comedian Vince Curran.
Roseanne would come up, and some of the jokes were actually quite funny, and some of them just bombed the greatest, biggest, hugest death in the world. It was a love-hate thing with the audience. They either loved her or they hated her with a passion.
Roseanne began to study female headliners like Judy Tenuta and Diane Ford when they passed through town. Roseanne befriended Ford, who explained the challenges of being a female in a male-dominated field.
Women on the road in the 80s were not accepted. You know, there were guys out there that just did not believe a woman was funny, period. You know, so they would be tough on you. You know, they'd go up and they'd tell blatant sex jokes about women. But if a woman comic said one thing about a guy, oh, she's a male basher. It was like women were fair game and men were not to be picked on, you know, like they can't handle it. You know, it's like, oh, buddy, wear a cup, you know? Get over yourself.
Roseanne was not dissuaded. Determined to win over the audience, Roseanne asked Diane to critique her routine.
I gave her some pointers. I told her to talk about her life as a mother and as a wife. If she wanted to be political, to find a way to make the personal political.
Roseanne took Diane's advice.
She started talking about her life as being married and as a mother and all those things, and she was very feminist about that. But when she started doing that, then the audiences responded to her in a very big way, you know. And she was always very likable on stage just because, you know, she was very non-threatening.
By the end of 1981, Roseanne landed a weekly spot at a local Denver club, the Comedy Works. Manager Ed Nichols watched Roseanne become more comfortable on stage.
There were more smiles, and she was friendlier and drew the audience in, made them part of the act.
As Roseanne's confidence grew, so did her appetite. Ex-husband Bill Pentland.
Through this time, she started to put the weight back on. She felt she was safe behind a wall, that she didn't have that frightening vulnerability that happened when she was very thin.
For 2 years, Roseanne honed her comic persona and built a strong local following.
She hit a chord that was great. It was mind-bending. It wasn't, I'm so fat I can't get a date. It was, I run the house, my husband's an idiot, and some days I want to kill my kids.
Comedian Scott Hansen.
She was able to come across and pull this whininess that she has in her act, and you know, basically do the complaints of her everyday life, and people, you know, endeared themselves to her. They empathized with her.
In 1983, 31-year-old Roseanne took first place at the Denver Laugh-Off competition.
By the time she won the Laugh-Off, it was clear that she's becoming quite a celebrity in Denver. She got like a little local cover on the Denver Post, and then she started working as a headliner in clubs out of town.
After 12 months on the road, Roseanne felt ready to conquer the Los Angeles club scene. At the urging of her sister Geraldine, Roseanne made an appointment to audition at LA's renowned Comedy Store.
The first time that I was on this stage right here, I had just driven in from Denver with all 3 of my kids, and I was doing 6 minutes in the small room, which is next to this. And Mitzi Shore, who owns this place, came up and she said, go do 20 in the big room. And all the waitresses said that had never happened before, that someone had gone from there to here in the same night. And I walked in here and I was just awesome.
Roseanne's former publicist, Jim Dobson, represented the Comedy Store at the time.
The college kids went wild for her. That night, instantly, she was a hit. And Mitzi knew it, because Mitzi has a good eye, and she knew to start putting her on a regular booking.
She called me about midnight and said, I killed. And I said, what's that mean? She says, it means we got to live in California.
Bill agreed to quit his 10-year job at the Denver Post Office and started packing for the move to Hollywood. Meanwhile, Roseanne performed nightly at the Comedy Store, and only 2 weeks later, she was discovered.
Jim McCauley, who was the talent scout for The Tonight Show, saw her, and as she came off stage said, I'm going to put you on The Tonight Show next week.
Would you welcome Roseanne Barr? Roseanne?
On August 23, 1985, Roseanne made her first appearance on The Tonight Show, the holy grail for comics.
This bugs me the worst, is when the husband thinks that the wife knows where everything is, huh? Like they think the uterus is a tracking device. Cassie comes in there, hey Roseanne, do we have any Cheetos left? Like he can't go over and lift up that sofa cushion himself.
Roseanne brought down the house. she felt that Johnny Carson gave her the break of a lifetime.
The next day, my whole life was changed. I could, move my kids out here. I had a career. I had a way out of a lot of poverty that I lived through in my life, so I thank him for that. It was a great opportunity he gave me.
Hollywood manager Herb Nanis had seen a lot of comics, but he quickly realized that Roseanne was special.
She was elevating the stature of the American woman and the American housewife. When you explain that a woman is capable of doing everything and all a man can do is urinate his name into the snow, and the guy's laughing, he's an idiot, but she's getting away with it. Women were loving her because she was going, yes, for us. And the men were laughing because she's going, hey, that's right, we are stupid, aren't we?
Nanis signed Roseanne immediately. The manager was charmed by her naivete about Hollywood.
We were in a restaurant where she was fascinated the menu matched the tablecloth. Wow, the menu looks like the tablecloth. I mean, so all of that innocence, all of that pure mid-American values, those blue-collar values that she had, was all genuine.
Although the unglamorous Roseanne didn't fit the mold of female performers, she refused to conform.
At that time, a woman comic had to be dressed pretty, look pretty, be pretty, don't go too far over the edge or you're considered, nasty or bitchy. And Roseanne kind of just said, to hell with that. I'm going to be who I want to be up there.
Nanis was quick to capitalize on Roseanne's blue-collar style. He booked Roseanne on the When Do We Eat tour with comic Louis Anderson.
She was overweight. She acknowledged her being overweight, and yet she felt good about herself, and she was like, I'm a goddess, I'm this, even though I'm 75 pounds overweight and not the most attractive woman on the planet. I think I'm beautiful, and I think you should think the same about yourself. And I think that struck a chord with millions of American women, because most are not, cosmopolitan gals.
Bill supported his wife's newfound success.
Since I wasn't working at all anymore, then I could become a full-time house husband. So I took over full-blown shopping, cooking, taking to school, the whole 9 yards, which would free her up entirely for what she needed to do.
In 1986, Roseanne hit the road again as the opening act for Julio Iglesias.
This was the peak of when Julio was setting America on fire. He wasn't going to do any press. Didn't speak a whole lot of English, wasn't interested in doing press. I knew that I could get Roseanne to do every interview in every town that for the shows that they were doing.
She opened for Julio in Madison Square Garden and was up doing her act and nothing, dead silence, until she realized every single person in Madison Square Garden spoke Spanish. The domestic goddess, I don't know what that would be in Spanish. Casa Godesso?
By the end of the 18-week tour, however, Roseanne gained national recognition.
That tour was a huge breakthrough for her. It was a huge amount of press, but it almost killed her because she had to be away from the kids for so long. And she was having a hard time being on the road over a period of 6 or 7 months on tour with him and missing those children. So she was starting to crack towards the end.
Roseanne was determined to give up touring, so she set her sights on television.
We managed to take her to a place important enough in the line of where her comedy was, where there was a supermarket chain here in Southern California, a local chain, that offered her $100,000 to do a commercial.
Well, this guy comes on and tells us gals on the home front, to save money, we should schlep from market to find specials. Yeah, I'll get right on it. Right, I can go to one place with a giant and save tons of dough. Then I can use my time for more important things, like laying around and criticizing others.
An HBO special soon followed. On September 19, 1987, Roseanne headlined The Roseanne Barr Show. One part of the show featured her stand-up comedy. Another depicted her in a family setting with husband and kids. The special received critical acclaim and caught the attention of a successful production company.
We were just pimping. We were using parts of our real life to do this HBO thing, and that was what Carsey Werner had responded to.
You get on that phone and tell Arnie
Coming up, Roseanne takes primetime by storm.
The minute she said, "I won't let this be bullshit," there was a war.
After 7 years on the comedy club circuit, Roseanne Barr gained national attention as the domestic goddess. By 1989, she would become known as a force to reckon with in Hollywood. In 1984, executive producers Marcy Carsey and Tom Werner struck gold with their groundbreaking hit, The Cosby Show. 3 years later, they were looking to cast a new sitcom.
We had sold the idea about a working-class mom, a working heroine, because we were going through the same experiences. You work all day and you come home and you do the same 8 hours, only you know, with kids and husband and groceries and dinner and stuff. And it was an absurd situation, so we wanted to put that on television. And then we saw Roseanne do a monologue, and we thought, what a wonderful, edgy personality that is.
Carsey approached Roseanne with the job offer. Ex-husband Bill Pentland.
So they came and said, we want to do a show about a blue-collar woman, and kind of conveniently help themselves to our lives.
The show's premise centered around Roseanne and Dan Connor, played by Barr and John Goodman, raising their 3 young kids in Lanford, Illinois.
It's our marriage, it's our 2 daughters, it's our smaller son, it's the meddling sister-in-law, the 15-year marriage, the blue collar.
All right, nice and quiet, everyone.
In the summer of 1988, filming began on the series. But it wasn't smooth sailing. Roseanne immediately clashed with the executive producer, Matt Williams, from The Cosby Show. Producer, Danny Jacobson.
They basically said, this is what I was told, we have this actress for you to write a pilot for, Matt. And they said to Roseanne, we have this writer that's going to write a pilot for you. So in a way, it was a little bit set up to be somewhat of a train wreck.
Roseanne claimed that Williams, who titled the show Life and Stuff, was trying to dilute and belittle her character.
He did not get her, and he wrote her very soft and very wrong. Those first 4 episodes were very tense, a lot of rewrites going on, a lot of her refusing to do a line the way it was written. It was not what her character would say.
Roseanne was fiercely protective of her vision. Although she was a newcomer to Hollywood, Barr was not afraid to rumble with her producing and writing staff. Natalie West played Roseanne's friend, Crystal Anderson.
Nothing was sugar-coated, and she was just very honest, brutally so at times.
She was turning pages and I was like, well, this line sucks, this ain't funny, this ain't good.
We spent hours holed up in her dressing room. We would walk off the stage and go in the dressing room with some pretty heavyweight threats coming down through the lawyers and through the network, you know, essentially, never work in this town again, you're going to go back to living in a mobile home.
And all the time I was thinking inside my head, as soon as it goes to #1, I'm kicking all these mofos out of here, you know. I just bid my time and had a lot of fights and fired a lot of people and had to dig my heels in a lot and not come out of my dressing room a lot and threatened to quit a lot.
Comedian Diane Ford.
Roseanne never took anything, you know. If you walked on her, or if you had an affront to her, I mean, she got right back in your face and pushed it down your throat. Oftentimes a woman in this business especially is given 2 choices. You're either a victim or you're a bitch. And for Roseanne, it was never a choice. I'm not going to be your victim, and that's just it. Call me what you want.
You go to hell.
Former manager Herb Nanis.
I'd hate to meet her in the street in a fist fight. She's a tough broad.
The feuding on the set tested the patience of the other cast members.
Stop filming.
The cast was very professional. And I think they also knew that they were sitting on a hit, and they didn't want to let the star ruin it for herself or for them. And, you know, they found it frustrating, and over times I'd see Goodman outside just like, you know, wanting to like pick a car up and throw it through a wall because it was frustrated.
You never knew what you were walking into of a week. Everybody, I think, learned how to maneuver in those waters. I mean, the battles were there for her to fight, and she was more than capable of fighting them.
There were a lot of days when I was like praying myself, like, ooh, fire me too, fire me too, fire me too.
As the premiere date approached, Initial reviews of the sitcom were mixed.
I remember a lot of the critics saying, who's going to want to watch these people, and who's going to want to look at these people, and who cares about a dirty sofa with a bunch of, big people making jokes.
Reviewers were skeptical that the blue-collar humor would fly.
I think that any discussion of class in America really freaks people out, and we're not supposed to talk about it. I've always talked about it, and it's a scary thing.
But Roseanne chose to ignore the critics.
That's not the people, that's just some whiny-ass reviewer. So I don't have very much respect for reviewers, especially TV reviewers, because they never put anything into its social context or what it means. They just say what you wear and whether they personally liked it or not, like if anybody gives a damn,
On October 18, 1988, Roseanne premiered on ABC. Viewers instantly embraced the sitcom. It jumped into the Nielsen's #5 spot.
The show just broke all kinds of ground. I mean, people lost jobs, people got knocked up, people smoked grass, people overdrank, people, made mistakes with their lives. It was a human show. And because it was human, it was funny and it was honest.
Tell us about the stud we're going to be meeting tonight.
Mother, you're not going to meet him.
Well, we're going to be at the bowling alley, and Chip's going to be at the bowling alley. We're bound to run into one another.
Please don't embarrass me. Please.
Oh, honey, there's no way we'd embarrass you.
Please, if you really love me, you'll pretend you're not my parents.
All right, get out of our house, little girl.
Thank you.
So, little Becky's got her first boyfriend, huh?
Oh, I wonder what this guy is like.
Oh, come on, Rosie. You know girls always go for guys that remind them of their fathers.
Not if they listen to their mothers.
The best jokes that you can make, I think, are from serious things, which we did on Roseanne. We took serious subjects and made jokes. And that's just the funniest, because it's unexpected, but also breaks a lot of tension.
Roseanne's sister, Jackie, was played by Laurie Metcalf.
The fact that the characters are deeply flawed, and everyone is at some point the butt of a huge joke. In that sense, it's got a real family feel, I think. No one gets off easy. There's always pecking where there's blood, and everybody goes after everybody else.
Bye! Despite the show's success, tensions still ran high on the set. By December 1988, Roseanne issued an ultimatum. Either she or executive producer Williams had to go. Carsey Werner chose Roseanne.
Because it was her face, she won. We got that producer out. It's not that he's an untalented guy, he just had a very different vision. So once Roseanne was able to come in and have control and control her character and really let it out, that's what the public responded to.
Roseanne won the battle, but paid a price. She developed a reputation in Hollywood for being difficult.
And the minute she said, I won't let this be bullshit, it was a war. So they went, God, she's a pain in the ass, God, she's tough. And from that point on, she became America's favorite problem. And the press will jump on that every day.
They don't sell issues by having a headline saying, Roseanne, totally healthy, back to normal, living a balanced life and eating all her vegetables. They sell papers by saying, Roseanne turmoil lights up, she and her producer slug each other.
Roseanne struggled with the negative press.
It was hard to play Roseanne Connor and then read stuff in the paper that was filtered through somebody else or somebody else's opinion of what I said or what I thought. It would be very frustrating, and it would upset me a lot.
By the time the first season of Roseanne wrapped in 1989, the pressure had taken a toll on the star's marriage. Roseanne filed for divorce from her husband, Bill.
I was angry because I was being divorced from, I was being booted out after I felt 17 years of getting finally to this point where there's a hit show and I'm being told goodbye.
Roseanne faced another crisis at home when she discovered that her 14-year-old daughter, Jessica, was drinking. In April, Jessica entered a rehab center for alcohol abuse. With her daughter in the hospital, Roseanne reluctantly had to leave town. Her newfound fame gave her a shot at the big screen. so she flew to New York to act opposite Meryl Streep in She-Devil. Roseanne's former publicist, Jim Dobson.
The experience on She-Devil was a terrible experience for her. I remember she hated the experience because it wasn't something she had created. She wants to do things that she creates because she knows what's funny. And feature films had studios that told her what to do, and she's never liked that. She's never liked having people tell her what to do.
Mostly you just sit in a trailer and watch TV all day. It's kind of exactly like being a housewife. And then you act about 2 minutes a day. So you get like all hyped up and then do it for 2 minutes and then go back to your trailer.
Roseanne's life was further thrown into upheaval in May when Bill Pentland received a startling phone call from the National Enquirer.
One of the tabloid reporters called me and said, "We hear from a reliable source that Roseanne gave a baby up for adoption." I just panicked because all these years we wondered who this baby was. Did she know she was adopted? So I notified Roseanne's people. I said, somebody's sniffing around about the baby.
She was very upset. It was something that came completely out of left field. She was not expecting it.
Her name's Brandy, and they found her about 2 weeks shy of her 18th birthday. The Enquirer tracked her down where she was living, called Roseanne and said, either you give us an exclusive or we're going to tell her who her mom is. She was blackmailed, Roseanne was, into having to do that exclusive with the Enquirer so that she could meet Brandy with as little interference as possible.
Roseanne arranged a meeting with her daughter Brandy at a hotel in Hollywood, and on June 7, 1989, the two were reunited.
And they instantly became friends. It's not unlike Roseanne to bond with someone, especially a younger person like that. They've become very close ever since, and they're still close.
A few months later, Roseanne was in the press again when her film She-Devil was released and bombed at the box office.
The critics were not nice to her in the film. They were very abusive to her.
But somebody who's a success in television, when they miss in the movies, they miss quickly. And the movie business goes, bingo, little box, back, done, finished. You see? So your huge success in television doesn't give you a lot of shots in the movies.
During 1989, Roseanne achieved an unlikely milestone. She was featured on more magazine covers in 1 year than anyone in history.
It was tumultuous. The entire growth of her fame was very painful, I think, because it came so fast. She was not good at dealing with it in the beginning because she didn't know who was lying to her and who was hurting her. She felt like there was always someone out to get her.
She was upset by a lot of the tabloid attention and how they just try to portray her life into this negative hell pit.
She would look at the tabloids and ask me, why am I the most hated woman in America? What have I done wrong? And she would start crying.
Coming up, Season 2, The Wrath of John.
Goodman was like dripping with sweat, and he just like looked at Tom Arnold and made a fist and just started like pounding the wall.
In the late 80s, Roseanne Barr was catapulted from trailer park housewife to star of a top-rated sitcom. But her quick rise to fame took a toll on her personal life, and Roseanne's roller coaster ride was far from over. When the second season of Roseanne began in the fall of 1989, the sitcom was the #1 show in America, unseating longtime champ The Cosby Show. Director John Pasquin.
Well, it was through the roof. All of a sudden, you've got this very robust, sexy, ballsy, large woman running around on television and with her in-your-face kind of comedy.
37-year-old Roseanne was hailed as a hero for the working-class woman. Shelley Winters played Roseanne's grandmother on the series.
I think that's why the show's such a big hit, because she says what so many women feel. She loves her husband, but, you know, she tells him off, she yells at the kids.
Executive producer Jay Daniel.
She creates controversy, and that's one of the reasons for the show's success, quite frankly, is that people were fascinated not only by the show, but by Roseanne as a personality.
That fall, Roseanne's love life landed her back in the headlines. After her split from Bill Pentland, her husband of 17 years, Roseanne became engaged to 30-year-old comic Tom Arnold. Roseanne first met Arnold in 1983 when she headlined the Comedy Gallery in Minneapolis. Tom was her opening act. Comedian Scott Hansen introduced the couple.
As soon as she got off stage, she said, you know, you were really funny, this was great. And Tom said, I'll be over at the bar. They just partied all night long. And they partied every night the whole week she was here. I mean, they were inseparable from that point on.
For 6 years, Roseanne and Tom remained close friends. When Roseanne's first marriage began to disintegrate in 1989, her friendship with Arnold quickly turned to romance. Former publicist Jim Dobson.
I think what attracted Roseanne to Tom the most is she felt sexy around him. He doted on her, and he loved her, and he held her hand, and he kissed her, and he was madly in love with her.
The feeling was mutual.
He is every single childhood little girl fantasy I ever had about the man. Yeah, he's every single one of them things. He's my dream man. He's a big dreamboat. He's so cute.
Director Andrew Wayman.
Roseanne and Tom were very lovey-dovey. We had to bust them up often. They're kissing on the couch or behind the set. Interrupting those moments wasn't always easy.
During the second season, Roseanne hired Tom as a writer on the sitcom. The writing staff was understandably skeptical.
They weren't particularly accepting of him. I don't think they had a lot of confidence in his humor. I don't think they respected him, and they respected him less because he was sort of leveraged on by her.
Apprehension about Arnold increased when it became apparent that he had a drug problem.
I mean, it was fairly common knowledge that he liked cocaine. He would have a hard time sort of holding still. It was like he was jazzed all the time.
He added so much frenetic energy to the situation, and at the time Roseanne did not need frenetic energy. She needed someone to calm her down. And when you had the two of them in a room, they were literally bouncing off walls together. And she was so stressed out already that she would even be pushed further up.
A few episodes into the season, Roseanne insisted that Tom appear on the show as Dan Connor's friend, Arnie. Producer Danny Jacobson.
The idea was that one of Dan's friends kissed her. It was smart because the tabloids were running this whole thing that she was having an affair with this comic Tom Arnold, and now he's doing the show.
The shoot did not go smoothly.
I thought, actually, for a while that John Goodman was going to kill him because John is a very disciplined actor, and here he had Tom, who had a hard time sort of concentrating.
I remember the night of the show, Tom was all amped up. He was going, yeah, this show, yeah, we're going to do a 50 share. They promote this right with me and Rosie kissing. This is going to take off.
So Goodman, you know, he would be sitting there and he would be seething and seething and seething, just sort of say, okay, I got to get through the day. I just have to get through the day. I have to get through the day.
Goodman was like dripping with sweat. And I said, what's going on? And he said, he just like looked at Tom Arnold and made a fist and just started like pounding the wall. And I said to him, you're going to fucking have a heart attack. People didn't like him on the set. People didn't like Rosie when he was around.
Roseanne and Tom also became for their on-set arguments.
We try to involve other people in our fights to do the totally incorrect thing that you're not supposed to do. Like, we'll ask all our employees whose side they're on. We like being really childish, and then we probably end up slugging each other.
It was a very volatile thing. They would blow it up each other, they wouldn't talk to each other, and then the next moment they'd be kissing each other and they'd be in the dressing room, and you know, it was obviously very tempestuous.
To make matters worse, in November 1989, Roseanne discovered that Tom sold information about her to a tabloid.
Tom was using the National Enquirer by alerting them when he had a date with Roseanne, so they'd be lurking in the bushes, taking pictures, getting both their names in the paper.
Barr finally issued an ultimatum. She wouldn't marry Arnold unless he cleaned up his act.
Tom had a real bad drug breakdown in L.A. And Roseanne was there for him. She was willing to make demands of him and say, your career is over, our relationship is over unless you do something about this.
Tom entered a detox center. In December, after a 1-month stay, Arnold was on the road to recovery. The wedding was back on, and Roseanne and Tom joked publicly about their tumultuous relationship.
We're going to see a psychiatrist now, though, and he's helping us so we don't fight so much.
He's getting on our nerves, so.
On January 20th, 1990, Roseanne and Tom finally married at their Beverly Hills home.
The wedding was wild. Every tabloid and magazines across the world were trying to get the photo of them getting married. An hour before the wedding, we had a death threat against Tom Arnold, so I had to hire the FBI, and the FBI sent snipers up into the hills around the house looking for assassin.
We had 20 guests and 40 bodyguards.
Although Roseanne and Tom got through the wedding, not everyone was pleased with the marriage, namely Roseanne's children.
The problem was when she got into a relationship with Tom Arnold was more of a resistant force against the kids. He became the father that they didn't want. So it became a volatile situation with Tom in the house as well.
They did a lot of rebelling. Tom would come in and pick them up and forcefully remove them from the floor and carry them somewhere else if they were screaming. They didn't like that. They were really shocked at that. And they were shocked that he made them go to school, because I never made them go to school. So, you know, there was some tension there.
Tension grew on the set as well. Just weeks after the wedding, Roseanne and Tom began a major overhaul of the show's staff.
We like our vision that we both have, you know, with what we want to do, and we think it's funny and we think it's good, so, you know, we want to...
We don't want to have to talk to any crackpots anymore that have no clue. So it's cool. I just fired everyone, and it's really great.
Even Geraldine Barr, who had been Roseanne's personal assistant for 9 years, was among the casualties.
When Tom Arnold came in, they instantly clashed because Tom Arnold wanted to handle her affairs, and her sister was no longer the one that had Roseanne's ear, and she was pretty much ostracized from that relationship.
I was fired, and no one in my family was allowed to communicate with Roseanne except through Tom and his appointed lawyer.
Ex-husband Bill Pentland.
I would just have to say, if an individual did not want that kind of flack, that individual might go out of his way to completely isolate her from everybody around her. So any firings, any alienation, any changes of managership, I don't really feel were Roseanne's decisions.
She was afraid of him. I mean, there was no question she was afraid of him. And he got his way.
The press began to refer to Tom as Roseanne's Svengali.
There were times when you couldn't get a phone call into Roseanne without talking to Tom. You couldn't write a letter without Tom, you know, making sure it was in the letter. I mean, he was very, very, very protective of what he thought was his career, you know, through her.
Ironically, it was Tom who made a career decision for Roseanne that she would soon regret.
I'd mentioned to Tom Warner, who owns the Roseanne show, who's a friend of ours, that, you know, she was singing and, you know, maybe we should get her to sing the national anthem because he owns the Padres. Then he invited us to do it.
On July 25, 1990, Roseanne took the mic before the San Diego Padres Cincinnati Reds baseball game.
Okay, tell me when I should start. I figure everybody knew that I wasn't the world's greatest singer and all that, you know, but of course I'm not the world's worst either. I'll say, can you sing? So I got out there and I sang about 4 notes, and then, you know, I thought I was okay in the beginning, and then everybody started booing me, and I really went into this panic thing.
She thought, okay, I'm going to turn into the comic now and be funny and grab my crotch like baseball players do and spit the tobacco out like baseball players do. And the flag was waving, and they felt she was spitting on the American flag and showing disrespect to the American flag.
The incident sparked a media frenzy. Even President George Bush called Roseanne a disgrace.
Well, it scared me when they started talking about, you know, the degree that they were hyping it up. Like, you know, I turned on the news and they were going, she's lucky she got off the field alive. And it was like, why don't you just, you know, just take a contract out on me for every weirdo in the world, encourage them to come and shoot me or something. And I resented that, especially if it was coming from like real pinhead sportscasters, you know. Which are like the dumbest human beings that have ever lived anyway. And they have a lot of room to talk because they're all really ugly.
The Star-Spangled Fiasco hurt the sitcom's ratings.
The public started hating her, and they started turning off the show. And it was part of the decline in ratings from the show.
Let's face it, I mean, what media likes is people screwing up. And this was her screwing up. Big time, in public, in front of an audience.
I lived through it, and, you know, nobody's ever gonna really get me.
Coming up, Will the real Roseanne please stand up?
I think if I had to live with Tom Arnold for 4 years, I would have 20 personalities also.
In 1990, Roseanne Barr sparked a nationwide outrage when she gave an ear-splitting rendition of the national anthem. The incident left Hollywood wondering, would the sitcom queen be able to salvage her tarnished image and win back the hearts of her fans? By the third season of Roseanne in 1990, 38-year-old Barr obtained executive producer billing on the hit sitcom. Roseanne finally won her hard-fought battle for creative control. Writer Eric Gilliland.
We didn't have any network intervention. They weren't allowed on the set. It was just the writers and Roseanne.
I like the work of being a producer, which I never thought I'd like because generally I have no fucking respect for any of those people. But now that I'm doing it, I think it's really cool. And
irreverent comedians like Brett Butler applauded Roseanne for taking on the Hollywood system.
I watch Roseanne diligently to see what she does. She toys with, she's like a mouse that plays with a cat. It's great.
Off the set, Roseanne and her husband Tom Arnold celebrated their one-year anniversary and made plans to remarry.
He converted to Judaism, so we wanted to have a Jewish wedding.
She changed her name too.
I'm no longer Roseanne Barr.
What are you?
Roseanne Arnold.
That's right, honey.
Because I told him if he converted, I'd change my name legally. So from now on, it's Roseanne Arnold, and then next year it's Mrs. Tom Arnold, and then the year after that it's just X.
No, Tom's chick.
Oh, Tom's chick, and then X.
On June 23, 1991, Roseanne and Tom took their second stroll down the aisle at a synagogue in Los Angeles.
It was as close as I've come to an old Polish wedding in Wisconsin, but being done with Jewish people in Los Angeles.
The comic duo appeared to be inseparable soulmates.
We're really sick and we're horribly mentally deranged because we really love being with each other, and we could be together 24 hours a day, which is a hideous, frightening thought.
Hollywood thought so too. Roseanne and Tom admittedly loved to raise hell.
Tom Arnold had a wonderful line when they got married. He said, "We are America's worst nightmare. We're white trash with money."
hey, fuck off! I'm having a good time.
The Arnolds became the couple that America loved to hate.
People had a death wish for them. They wanted them to see them, here, what can we find these two, yahoos doing now? What's the next? What's the adventures of Tom and Roseanne?
Well, are you making faces?
No, I thought you were going to talk about your sperm again.
They would deliberately goof off like kids. They would pull their pants down and moon people on the streets, and they loved doing stuff like that because they loved getting the reaction, and they loved reading about it the next day in the papers. It was a power over the press that they had.
The more strength and more power they got, the more they could tell people to go to hell. And they like to do that.
Every incident in Roseanne and Tom's WrestleMania romance became fodder for the tabloids.
You are an evil person! Every time they'd have a fight, it seemed to be in public. Then all of a sudden, everything they did, there was either a photographer there or a reporter there or another friend who was willing to sell an article for $10,000. They kind of created their own monster. And I think that monster really hurt them in the long run. Hollywood wanted to see them tear each other apart.
Still, Roseanne and Tom did not feel the need to hide anything from the public.
There's such a fine line to me and Tom between our work and our lives that they often intersect and overlap each other. So we're just used to that, and we don't feel that we have to totally live behind huge walls and protect our privacy or our secrets or anything. We're pretty open.
At no time was Roseanne's openness more apparent than on October 4th, 1991. Standing before an audience of 1,000 at Montview Presbyterian Church in Denver, Roseanne publicly announced that as a child she was molested by her father and physically abused by her mother.
What happened to me was, I was abused by my babysitter when I was growing up, and I didn't remember till I was about 30 and when I got sober. And I was in the hospital and I had these memories, and I called up Rosie and I said, my babysitter did molest me and he did this and this to me, and that's what triggered her memories.
When you are a victim or a survivor of child sexual abuse, I mean, the physical part of it's horrid, but the real scarring part of it's the emotional part, because you're forced to then keep the secret for your abuser. And that really messes your head up. It is a real healing thing to come out and say, yes, it did happen. I'm not imagining it, it did happen.
Roseanne's family was shocked by her accusations.
I was vacationing in New Mexico when I saw the cover of People that said, "I am an incest survivor," and I just stared at it. Then I had to fly home to San Francisco. I met my parents who were there taking a lie detector test. It was horrendous to see people I love go through that, and they told me that it was humiliating.
Helen and Jerry Barr denied all of Roseanne's allegations.
The next day they did the news and they said, "We took a lie detector test, we're not pedophiles, we don't know why Roseanne is doing this." Roseanne's statement the next day was, "Pedophiles always pass lie detector tests because they have no conscience."
The Barr family believed that the incest claims were just another instance of Roseanne manipulating the media.
Roseanne needs to be perpetual victim, and I think that she was a victim when she was a working class woman, and then she wanted a career as a mother. She was a victim. Then we created a career for her. She became rich and famous, and she needed to create a new victimhood. And the flip side of that is perpetrator.
Roseanne's ties with her family were severed forever.
I love Roseanne, but I'm mad at her. I'm disappointed at how she's chosen to use her voice. I mean, for me, it feels like my sister's dead. I lost a sister.
While the Barr family fought to restore their good name, Roseanne became furious at speculation that her announcement was a publicity stunt.
When you do come forward, like I have, about child abuse and child sexual abuse, the people in Hollywood sort of tend to look down on you and vilify you.
To escape the media scrutiny, Roseanne and Tom fled to the farm they purchased in Ottumwa, Iowa. While in seclusion, Roseanne made plans to change her physical appearance.
I'm having several plastic surgeries.
She is doing that. We went to a plastic surgeon just to stop by, and in Beverly Hills there, because we'd never been, and it was so unbelievable. She was like a kid in a candy store. She wants everything.
What happened is people started writing about her looks, and they started attacking her looks. Not attacking her talent, but attacking her looks. And she took that personally. She thought, I have money, I can do something about this.
In the summer of 1992, Roseanne went under the knife. She had breast reduction surgery, a nose job, a facelift, and a tummy tuck.
Now when I see her on television, I don't recognize part of her. I look at her and I go, gosh, you look so much like LaToya.
Roseanne revealed her new look to the public on September 28, 1992, when she received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That week, her sitcom also reached an important milestone, 100 episodes. Actor John Goodman.
It's a good feeling. It's kind of a feeling of accomplishment. I mean, we've all been through a lot together, and hopefully we'll be through quite a bit in the future, and it won't be as stressful.
Because that volcano is going to finish us off first.
Hello, Club Med. I want my deposit back.
And if the volcano's erupting, then it's only a matter of minutes before.
Earthquake! Earthquake! Oh, calm down, little buddy.
Despite 4 successful seasons of Roseanne, the series and its star were continually snubbed at the Emmy Awards.
The cast and crew generally felt disappointed and felt there was a political situation, and the reason she wasn't getting votes was because she was alienating so many people. And they wanted to be recognized for their work. They knew the show was good.
I believe they didn't give her an award every year because they didn't like her. Hollywood did not like Roseanne. It was a hard thing to deal with.
In 1992, however, Emmy voters had a change of heart. Roseanne was finally nominated for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series.
There was a lot of ambivalence. On one hand, I think she felt very, very happy about it. On the other hand, she felt that if she was too happy, she would be letting her guard down.
I'm actually excited and yet ashamed to be excited. It's not like I live to win an Emmy or that, or anything like that. I actually think I deserve an Oscar for what I do on television. The Emmy's kind of beneath me in a way, but I will accept it. If called, I will serve.
But Roseanne was not called to serve, and Candice Bergen walked away with the Emmy for her role on Murphy Brown. The following year, Roseanne was nominated again. This time, when her name was announced on September 19, 1993, Roseanne was not there to receive the award. She was at home, sick with the flu. As the end of 1993 approached, the Arnolds continued their public antics. In November, they served up loose meat sandwiches at the grand opening of Roseanne and Tom's Big Food Diner near their Iowa farm. A month later, when rumors floated about Arnold having an affair with his 24-year-old assistant Kim Silva, Roseanne and Tom announced plans to marry Silva.
Roseanne's an incredible, skillful self-promoter. You know, she's really able to, you know, find ways to reinvent herself and to promote herself, and she worked the media as much as the media worked her.
But the most shocking revelation of Roseanne's career came on February 14, 1994. During an appearance on Oprah, Roseanne publicly announced that she had been diagnosed with 21 personalities.
I think if I had to live with Tom Arnold for 4 years, I would have 20 personalities also. But you know, it's tough for me to deal with because one of her personalities is named Bambi. And there's just nothing Bambi-esque about Roseanne that I knew.
The public also took Roseanne's declaration with a grain of salt. Entertainment reporter Sam Rubin.
It was like, here we go again. She's had this, and now there's 80 of her. You know.
I don't think they're diagnosed personalities, though, but she's definitely able to switch from happy to sad to loving and caring to mean and nasty very, very quickly. And that's hard for some people to accept, you know, in the middle of a conversation.
Coming up, hell hath no fury like a Roseanne scorned.
People ask me, who do I hate more, Hitler or Tom Arnold? And that is so hard for me because I'm Jewish. By 1994, Roseanne and Tom Arnold's traveling media circus took on a life of its own. Despite their outrageous and sometimes offensive behavior, the terrible two prevailed in Hollywood. During the 6th season of Roseanne in 1994, the star continued to rule her show with an iron fist.
I gave it to you in the fucking trailer. No, it's fucking written. I gave it to you guys on paper in the trailer. It's fucking written.
I run my business like it's a queendom because, you know, it is. And I don't believe in democracy in this instance.
With husband Tom Arnold now sharing executive producer credit, the sitcom experienced a heavy turnover of personnel that was remarkable even by show business standards.
I mean, who hasn't been fired from the Roseanne show? It was like a comedy crucible. Oh, Roseanne fired, how many weeks did you last?
Roseanne encouraged her ever-changing staff to push the envelope with show topics.
Roseanne, what is this on top of the cake?
Well, see, they didn't have anything with 2 grooms. So we snapped off the bride and we glued on one of those action heroes from Pocahontas.
What is all this?
It's a gay wedding.
And I keep my head and my eyes open to see what isn't ever on television, and I try to go for what you're not supposed to put on television.
Roseanne's revealing the incest incidents in her lifetime led her to want to explore that on the show. We had a lesbian relationship between Sandra Bernhard and Morgan Fairchild. Made the network very nervous. We dealt with birth control. We dealt with unemployment when Dan was struggling in his job. We dealt with death when her father died. She went to places that I hadn't seen on television before in a half-hour comedy. They were compelling and they were funny.
She likes to push those kind of boundaries. She just can really read, you know, what people across the country are willing to accept and ultimately, you know, be able to accept it in a way that, you know, you can even laugh at it.
But execs at ABC weren't laughing in March 1994 when Roseanne went to battle over an episode in which her character visits a gay bar and shares a kiss with guest star Mariel Hemingway. Writers Stan Zimmerman and James Berg.
Well, the network was having problems with it all the way through. But that's something the Roseanne show has dealt with before during the masturbation episode and the pot episode. But the controversy over this, it really surprised us.
The network even threatened to cancel the episode. On the evening of March 1st, 1994, the cast and crew gathered to watch the broadcast.
We still don't know what they're going to air. There was still talk up to this morning that they were going to edit the kiss, they were going to try to speed it up.
It's only 3 seconds.
I cannot believe that in this day and age that a woman cannot kiss another woman on television without somebody having a big shit fit. But anyway, we're here to have some fun, and I'm here to see a couple chicks kiss so I can get a boner. And
At 9 o'clock, ABC decided to air the first same-sex smooch on television.
everybody's, you know, up in arms about it, but I'm just glad we got it on the air. I think it's a big victory for everybody.
The ratings just went like crazy because everyone made a big brouhaha over it.
America is fascinated by the continuing ability of Roseanne Arnold to surprise the shit out of people.
Roseanne's life re-entered rough waters a month later. Rumors of an alleged affair between Tom and his 24-year-old assistant Kim Silva surfaced again. Roseanne and Tom's public fights reached epic proportions.
Their relationship was like watching two grizzly bears go at each other.
On April 15, 1994, a high-decibel, X-rated shouting match reportedly took place between the couple on the set. Roseanne fired Tom on the spot, along with Silva. 3 days later, Roseanne filed for divorce in Los Angeles Superior Court, citing irreconcilable differences. Roseanne claimed she was beaten and abused by Arnold and demanded a restraining order against him. Her petition was granted. According to friends, Arnold was unusually tight-lipped about the allegations.
The day that I heard that they were getting divorced, I called Tom and I said, "What happened?" And he said, "She's got 25 personalities and 15 of them hate my guts."
Roseanne, predictably, did the unexpected.
We had divorce day on the set, and she had a roast pig and had like strippers come in and play around and had a sort of a little Hawaiian luau right there on the set one day, in the middle of production.
Roseanne even announced that she was dropping Arnold from her name, and from that point on, she would simply go by Roseanne.
I saw her change from being married to Tom Arnold to being more in control, and I think she got happier as time went on.
I think it's a very clear timeline. At the time of her second divorce is when she mellowed. This was an element around her life that, by every account, was very destructive to her. And at the time that she was freed from that situation, then I think you'll see that that was the time that she wasn't really outrageous in public anymore.
Over the next year, Roseanne used her personal tribulations as material for her comedy.
Well, I just fought my way out of another heap of shit and managed to live through it.
Roseanne took great glee in publicly ridiculing not only Tom's artistic ability, but his sexual prowess as well.
Tom Arnold's penis is 3 inches long. Who do I hate more, Hitler or Tom Arnold? And that is so hard for me because I'm Jewish.
On the rebound, 42-year-old Roseanne became involved with her former bodyguard and driver, 28-year-old Ben Thomas. On February 14, 1995, Roseanne married Thomas in a Valentine's Day ceremony in Lake Tahoe.
I think he's a quieter person that's kind of, you know, keeps her on an even keel.
You know, Tom would grab the mic and he'd go up there in the audience, "Hey, how y'all doing? Hey, where you from? I'm from Iowa too." And he'd just start going and going and going and going. Whereas Ben would sit and, you know, hang. He was a showbiz outsider. I think it was calming.
Inspired by her newfound peace and happiness, Roseanne immediately set her sights on having another child.
She wanted a chance to raise one child under the circumstances she now enjoyed, this tremendous affluence. You know, I'm helping my children now as adult children, but I could have a baby from scratch who could, you know, would never know any of the pain or the hassles my other kids went through.
Unable to conceive on her own, Roseanne underwent several in vitro fertilization attempts.
It was really hard in the beginning. I had 4, embryos put in, and all 4 of them took, but then 3 of them absorbed, so I got down to 1, but for a while there, I was in bed for 12 weeks because I didn't know if I was going to be able to keep any of them.
In March 1995, Roseanne learned that the procedure was a success.
Your oldest child is 24.
Yes, and my husband's 28.
Your husband's 28.
And I'm pregnant again with my 5th baby, so I think that makes me the undisputed queen of all trailer trash. I'm very proud of that.
Does he have a name yet?
It's Buck Thomas. I'm going to be more obnoxious than Kathy Lee about my kid. It's my goal.
Roseanne gave birth to her son Buck on August 5, 1995. When the sitcom began taping its 8th season a few weeks later, the change in Roseanne was immediately evident.
It was very sweet to see her with the baby, actually. It was really, you know, she's Roseanne and she's, you know, the queen of Hollywood, and there she is with this little baby, and, you know, talking like talking and making faces and making the baby laugh, and you're like, oh, look at that. She's a mom. She's great.
It was a time of new beginnings for Roseanne. That spring, she developed and executive produced Saturday Night Special, a sketch comedy show.
I went to this party once, and Demi Moore and Julia Roberts and Michelle Pfeiffer dragged me in a closet and made me do them. And then at the end, when they're leaving, they let in, what's her name, Michelle or Meryl Streep.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I did her too.
I have multiple personality disorder, and it really comes in handy for this kind of thing. I just kind of scream at everybody and blow off a lot of steam and, you know, like to push people around and abuse them for no reason. And that's basically my input.
On April 13th, the series premiered on Fox, but critics ripped it apart. The show was canceled after only 6 episodes. Disappointed, Roseanne returned to her sitcom in September 1996 with plans to revamp the series. The season began with the Connors winning the lottery, but the new storyline lost viewers.
I don't know that America wanted to see that. You know, I think they liked the Connors the way they were, and not rich.
It was a very different show. Stylistically, the show became much broader and wackier and spoofy.
Roseanne suddenly is doing a, you know, I'm rich and here are all my rich friends kind of thing. That was a betrayal of the storyline. It was a betrayal of what's known as the Bible, the whole history of that show. And I think it cost her dearly.
The ratings took a nosedive, and ABC did not renew the show. On April 4th, 1997, after 9 seasons, the cast and crew of Roseanne took their final bow. Cast members joked about leaving the series.
I think, like any phony Hollywood crap, we're going to promise to keep in touch and we'll never see each other again.
The crew reflected on their war stories.
This show has done everything from like accelerate my baldness to increase my waistline, to raise my blood pressure.
It all blurs together. I was drunk at the time. I was on the Roseanne show for 4 years, and I've got the damaged liver to show for it.
And as always, Roseanne was sarcastic about her future plans.
I plan to fade into oblivion, like all other ex-sitcom stars, and never do another thing.
That is true.
Then Roseanne received an offer that she couldn't refuse. On May 13, 1997, she made her theatrical debut at Madison Square Garden in The Wizard of Oz. In a role that some described as typecasting, Roseanne played the Wicked Witch of the West.
What a world! What a world!
The play was a success. Unfortunately, Roseanne's love life wasn't. In January 1998, she filed for divorce from her 3rd husband, Ben Thomas, citing spousal abuse and requesting custody of their 2-year-old son, Buck. Coming up, Roseanne turns rock star. The turbulent 9-year run of her sitcom was over, and by 1997, Roseanne was out of work and out of favor in Hollywood. Hoping to breathe new life into her career, television's petulant prima donna plotted a move from primetime to daytime. In January 1998, 45-year-old Roseanne announced plans to tackle the highly competitive field of daytime talk as host of The Roseanne Show.
I have many things to say, and I believe there's an audience that actually wants to listen. But most of all, if I'm a hit, I'll get faster service at the catering truck. And being back on the air will keep my name alive in the tabloids without having to divorce any more husbands.
To prepare for the show's September premiere, Roseanne focused on her physique. After years of diet therapy, liposuction, tummy tucks, and other attempts to trim down, Roseanne still weighed over 200 pounds. In April 1998, she underwent a controversial surgery called the phobie pouch. The radical operation reduces the capacity of the stomach to a mere 1 ounce. Roseanne also made a transformation of faith. She joined Madonna, Elizabeth Taylor, and other celebrities in the trendy study of Kabbalah, a Jewish mystical tradition.
It changed my life in many, many ways. It made me be ultimately responsible for myself in like the short of it. To stop reacting and be proactive. When I am kind and calm, I actually live in a kind and calmer world. That's what it's taught me.
Roseanne's spiritual enlightenment helped rekindle her love life. That June, Roseanne reunited with Ben Thomas, her estranged third husband.
I'm feeling more and more back to my roots as like a mother and a housewife sort.
She's got this very earthy mother together thing going on. She's very together. And she doesn't have fear in her eyes anymore. And she doesn't have worry in her eyes anymore.
America was introduced to the newly subdued and slimmed down Roseanne when her talk show premiered on September 14, 1998. Roseanne expected the usual media attacks, but to her surprise, critics praised the show for its distinctive style and for the candor of its host.
What you see on her talk show, that's pretty much Rosie. What you see when she goes on interviews, and that's the same person that I sit in a room with for the most part. She's not very guarded. She doesn't put on a facade for the public and then be some other person in the secrecy of her home or her dressing room. She's pretty much Rosie.
Viewers, however, weren't impressed. The ratings for the first season of The Roseanne Show were a major disappointment.
Talk show didn't work. It's not her strong point. It may be fun sitting in a living room with her, but not when you have to do it every day.
Despite the dismal performance, King World, which syndicated the show, opted to renew it for a second season.
We're so happy that we get another year because we feel like we finally have worked our kinks out and we're ready to go like a smooth machine, and it's great that we get another year.
But during the summer of 1999, NBC-owned stations pulled the plug, and many markets which did carry the show stuck Roseanne in a 1 a.m. time slot. Variety and other industry publications reported that it was clear the talker would not survive for season 3.
It's a tough business, and it's a business that's fickle and can forget you quickly if you don't stay in front of the public.
With the writing on the wall, Roseanne set out to reinvent herself once again. She discovered a new outlet to speak her mind: rock music. On September 30th, 1999, Roseanne unveiled herself as the lead singer of Roseanne and the Dicks at New York's legendary punk club, CBGB's.
I'm gonna be real honest with you, I had a real hard year. I had, my show wasn't getting no ratings, and they were telling me that I gotta be like Rosie O'Donnell and the whole thing. And I was like trying to sue everybody, but nothing was working. My kids wouldn't listen to me. You know, my husband, I don't know, he don't pay no attention to me. In order to handle all that pain, I turned, as I have so many times before in my life, I turned to rock and roll.
She's such a bitch. I wish she would go into a ditch. I hate my dad. He's a big prick. He makes me sick.
The jury is still out on Roseanne the singer, but whether she's a housewife, stand-up comic, sitcom queen, talk show host, or rock star, one thing won't change. Roseanne will continue to keep the world guessing.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
She's an enigma in the grandest scale of it.
She's different, she's special, she's, you know, not always right, she's offensive, but bottom line, say anything you want, she's funny.
Maybe she'll eventually be the center square on Hollywood Square.
She's a creative genius, and I think people that are geniuses tend to be a little loopy.
That's going to be on my gravestone. I'm having that. What in the hell was I thinking? Hi, I'm Delta Burke, and I'm coming up on E right now.
Excuse me just a minute. Shut up! Goddamn, unplug the goddamn thing. I've been released from the state mental institution, and now I'm free. I hate every living fucking human being. You're a bad crowd. You suck. Not too funny tonight. Can't think of anything to say. I don't know. I have no idea. No idea at all. I don't really know. Oh, God, I don't know.
Oh, I'm so bored with answering that question.
I-E.
Just a minute. You know, we're filming down here.
Sorry, honey. Who's this asshole? I'm bigger than all the movie stars anyway. Because I'm so goddamn good looking. Why else?
Well, I think we got what we needed.
Oh, really? Oh, you don't want me to bitch anymore?
No, that's good.
I'm Roseanne and I'm watching E.
E! E!